Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Viewers, CPEC is a transformative project. It has the ingredients which can help Pakistan to revive the economy. It can help Pakistan not only to revive the economy but also to put economy on the path of sustainable development. Unfortunately, it also have its own problems. Some are related to the Pakistan and some are the external forces which are also creating problem for Pakistan. The one of the major and the most important problem at this point of the time is the security. We have seen in the recent past, so Chinese nationals have been attacked, whether some Chinese have lost their life. And then on the other hand, we also have seen, so there were many incidents where the terrorists or the opponents or the external forces try to sabotage some activities related to the CPEC or attack the CPEC related project. In this context, we have invited today a very learned person who has spent his whole life in security matters, especially dealing with the civilian matters. He is a not only he has been invited as a because he holds some position, but his intellect level and his work on the concept of the security. That's why we invited him. Dr. Akbar Nasir Khan, you may know him as a former IG Islamabad, but he is a very learned person. He did PhD from UK, and then also he is alumni of the Kennedy Harvard School, and then he also served in the different positions and written two books. One is on the surveillance and the privacy. So in this context, we have requested him to talk with us and brief the audience about so what are the dynamics of the CPEC related security and how the civilian institution, the focus for today's discussion would be how the civilian institution can play a role to ensure the security of CPEC and Chinese national. Thank you, sir, for joining us. First of all, sir, how you see the security situation related to the CPEC?
Thank you, Shkil sir, for inviting me over here. As you know, the security situation, like in a countrywide, it is a very relative term. It depends from which part you are talking about. In Pakistan, for example, it has more than 160 districts. The security situation is turbulent probably only in 10 of those districts. However, the way it is projected, it comes across as it is a situation in the whole of Pakistan.
And that is very important.
So that is very important to qualify it, that when we talk about the security in Pakistan, so Punjab is half of the country, 25% is province of Sindh, and these 75% of the areas remain very calm and peaceful for all kinds of business activity. Then we come to the northwestern parts of the country, in which, especially where the focus is the CPEC, some of those projects which are of national importance, there have been some issues, as you rightly mentioned. And you also mentioned that there are reasons which are intrinsic to the security solutions provided by the civilian institutions and the other institutions. However, there are also factors which are directly impacting the security, and those are linked with outside the country. So some of the areas where those projects of national importance are, and we all understand, and it is also a very well-known knowledge that they will contribute to the national progress and economy in a larger way. There are all efforts by the enemies of the state to tarnish those progress and affect that. And of course, this is a constant struggle. It continues. In other countries also, we have seen these patterns. So yes, there are challenges in the security, but it is not, I would say that to take it as a whole country level.
Oh, thank you so much to to differentiate between so where is the problem and what is the status of the country generally. When you said about some external forces, so how you see then the region or the beyond the region, which forces are working against the interest of Pakistan or the CPEC?
Pakistan is, as we all understand, it is very common knowledge that it is one of our neighbor has been hostile, and we have a history of wars with them. Unfortunately, the way the global dynamics is changing, we are also facing to become normal, and in facing the challenges in this normality, like the border management on our western border, that is also becoming a challenge. This is because Pakistan has decided that we should act like a normal country with the same norms as these are applied everywhere else. So, and this, because of the, as I said, the dynamics of the country and the international environment, These are the new patterns which Pakistan is adapting. So in this adaptation, there will be some hiccups, there will be some pangs, and those will overcome by the passage of time.
And definitely, when the dynamics are changing, you're talking about, especially after the Mr. Trump election, the dynamics are accelerated. Right, they're on the some, I don't know what speed they are changing right now, and Pakistan is doing its best to secure its interest. So when we see the security threats, I'm not talking about generally. So other reason, I'm mostly talking is a focus on the CPEC related. So, what role institutions should have to play? We know that during the first phase, Army did a wonderful job. They were protecting the CPEC and the CPEC related investment. But the dynamics in the second phase has been changed because the work will be more spread across the country. There will be new special economic zones. In every special economic zone, hundreds and thousands of people will be working. So, how to tackle this security problem, and especially what role can civilian institution can play?
When I was talking about international dynamics, my focus was actually because of the involvement of the TTP in these terrorist attacks. And we all understand that TTP has been harbored out of Pakistan.
Yes.
So because of that reason, we are focused on the security of the CPEC also. The couple of incidents which were recently happened, they have also been linked to the cross-border outfits. So that was my point. I'm not going into the global trade dynamics or the very recent events like the inauguration of the new president's takeover in the United States. So here the role, as you said, yes, when the CPEC was started in 2015 and 16, there was an urgency to set up institutions, and our best institutions, our security institutions, were in place to provide the security to large extent. However, as you said, in the second phase, as we are maturing and now CPEC is expanding, not only to certain areas in Northwest, but other areas also. So there will be requirement that the civil institutions and particularly civil law enforcement comes forward well equipped as per the desires of our Chinese counterparts and the stakeholders, so we can provide a similar standard of security as is expected from any military outfit or I would say, the civilian armed forces. So there has been a need of it. There is a need of it, and it will continue to expand because the security is a precursor of any foreign investment. What we have to do in that is that we have to build the capacity, and building the capacity is a very large, broad brush to paint the situation. It means I want to focus on this, that it should be built in a way that your stakeholders are also not only watching it, observing it, that how their capacity is commensurate to the risk which is they have to mitigate. It should also give them satisfaction that yes, the measures taken by the state and the law enforcement agencies are as per the international standards, and they also become actually a showcase, a model to the future investors also.
Okay, you said the capacity. So when you say the capacity, what you want to highlight? Only the combat capability? Are there financial? Are there technology? Are there other ways to conduct those operations?
I would say when the capacity of the security of the CPEC I'm talking about the protection. It means the human resources. It means the tools and gadgets and technology if you want to employ it. And the most important of all is the structures which are there. A structure, an institution which is well designed to meet the requirements of those investors and also to conduct their day-to-day operations. It should be not that intrusive that it affects the working environment in that project also. So I'm talking about the institutions, its SOPs, its protocols, its human resources which will deal with it, and how well equipped those human resources are.
When you talk about technology, you also remain affiliated with the smart city project, safe city projects, and you played a very important and prominent role in there. So how you see that technology can be deployed, or what is your lessons from the safe city which can be also applied with the CPEC related security?
In my understanding, all these special economic zones, which are very specific in area, we know their boundaries are very defined, they should be the safe zones.
Okay.
They should be very well equipped with technology from entry to exit. So all the industry which is to be relocated here or started over here, so those zones should be basically the safe economic zones. They should be smart economic zones in which we should maximize actually the benefits of technology, and they become a hub of attraction. And yes, they will be centers of excellence, centers of security, centers of technology also. So we have this opportunity that, of course, Pakistan's scale is very big, but in these special economic zones, we can call them smart economic zones.
Okay, but we have seen where is the security is there. So most of the time it happens, it delay the work or create the hurdles for the smooth working. There are so many security checks and these things. Can technology help us to reduce these checks and security checks and other things, work in a very, you can say, the very unseen manner, so nobody know it, but it is working?
Yes, as I said, when these, especially the issue is not actually the providing security on the projects. The most of the time what we hear the complaints from our law enforcement agents and the officials is also the mechanisms which we try to put in place from the security perspective, even with less technology. Of course, yes, with the more technology, we can make their surveillance possible. We can check their movements. We can address the issues of uncertainties and the risks which might be addressed. For example, roadblocks or any kind of natural calamity which is taking place. So we can change or alter or design the movement of our expatriates and in their business activity. So it can be, technology can help in prediction and also providing less intrusive environment. However, the second part is when the movement of these other Chinese nationals or their support staff is from out of the project. In like you cannot make the whole country as a smart country. We are too big. We are not Singapore. So in that condition, what we have to do is that their technology can be very useful, provided that the both parties, the law enforcement agencies, also know how to use the technology. And also
that is very important.
That is very important. And also the other side, the Chinese engineers or officers or staff, they also follow those protocols.
So, you have written extensively on the privacy and the surveillance. I think there are also a very important element of the privacy. So yes, how you see that technology can also ensure the privacy?
Shakil sir, what we did was that, like, one of part of my thesis was that we conducted surveys in 3 major cities of the country. And when we put a condition, the trade-off between privacy and security, in Pakistan, people preferred security over privacy.
Okay.
So in the condition which we are, and of course, as the society grows and depending upon people to people and their education level and other things, privacy becomes also very, very important. For me, it is very important, for example. But for such conditions, for CPEC, which we are focusing on and talking about, their security at this stage is of prime importance. And of course, it will have a trade-off with privacy to a certain extent. And we are talking about their security while their movement. We're not intrusive in their lives, in their activities or other things. So we want to ensure that the people who are working on CPEC and the CPEC's work itself is secure. I think that is the scope of for any law enforcement agent in civilian domain. So if we use technology to make that process less intrusive, more transparent also, we should also bring them to see how we are providing security. Yes. There is no harm in even getting some of the trainers from even China or the other countries who want to work there, so they can see what kind of security we are providing. So they can witness it, the standard of security provision, and it will give them not only satisfaction, but also it will convince other people also that how the country and its law enforcement agents are providing security, which should be of international standard.
Yes, and when you're talking about to build their trust and transparency, but there is also another important element, because you were talking about capacity, and it is well accepted fact right now. Pakistan don't have the financial resources, and Pakistan lack the technology. So here, can Pakistan and China explore the way the Chinese police and Pakistani police can look into the ways how they can collaborate?
Yes, I think as I just mentioned that they should be invited to witness it and even train the human resources of Pakistan, the people who are doing the job. So they understand not only their SOPs, but the expectations are the same. So this capacity and collaboration is the way forward. We have been working in Islamabad police. Some of the officers have been trained in China. Chinese embassy has been very instrumental in providing support in like equipment to the police officers. So similar things can be done with even their trainers. They can work together, and especially probably I would say that getting out of the box, we probably need to develop a national level foreigner security unit.
Oh.
So this national foreigner security unit, provinces have done it. However, because the challenge is huge and it needs a national outlook also, and at times those people who are working on these projects, they have to cross the jurisdictions. For example, their head offices are in Islamabad, they are working in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa or in Punjab. So that change of jurisdiction is also there. So there is, to me, there's a need of a national special protection unit. Punjab has developed it, other provinces has done it, but probably nationalizing it will be, or making it at the national level with the same standards and seamless coordination can be a way forward, and that their training can be actually in collaboration with our Chinese counterparts can be done.
Oh. Coming to the conclusion of our program, more specifically, if you see the present context, how you see the civilian institution, because my thesis is in the second phase of CPEC, the civilian institutions must play a prominent role. So how you see the armed forces and civil armed forces agencies, they can how they can collaborate and what role they should play?
Shakil Sab, in my opinion, this is actually, we are the security sector. It has a continuum which starts from the police constable on the road, and it ends up with an officer of rangers or civil armed forces performing his duty at the border point. So we are performing different roles for the same cause, which is provision of security, but with a different mandates. So, and they all have to be part of the same continuum. So if, for example, in the peacetime, which is alhamdulillah 99% of our lifetimes, and for an unforeseen threat of the war, when the military comes at the on the war, so but they are all trained on similar line with a different intensity, different roles. So in Pakistani situation, when, as I said, we all work together seamlessly, and when the threat level escalates, so they transition from police to civil armed forces and then army. In majority of the cases where there is threat assessment shows that the threat is less, they should be predominantly police, civil institutions. And if the threat level increases, for example, in some areas, you can deploy civil armed forces. And when the threat level is higher, for example, it could be in case of man-made disasters or in natural disasters, so then army steps in and they're most welcome to serve there. Yes, because of the 99% of the time, there should be more focus on the civilian law enforcement capacity, their institution building, and their role. And with wherever there is a need, for example, in some areas, there is more 99% requirement of the civil armed forces, as we have seen in some parts of the country. So they should be remain there. So this distinction is actually volatile, keeps on changing depending upon the threat assessment. So if the threat level is low, for example, police is mostly doing their job. Yes, there is a need to make it at a national level, a framework which is applicable, which is expandable also, because we expect that there will be more and more business coming. This is our hope. This is our expectation.
And this is our efforts.
And this is the only way forward.
forward.
So in that, we have to rely more and more on the civilian law enforcement capacity building. And they should be given that task where they are already doing, but their capacity enhancement will give more confidence to the investors and also our own decision makers that yes, Pakistan can provide security. to the foreign direct investment and CPEC projects.
You means we must have some national entity which
Yes.
should take care of the foreigners and the investment is coming to the Pakistan. And in the conclusion, thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much, Dr. Akbar Nasser Saab, for your wonderful explanation of different issues in a very delicate way. Although sometimes it seems it's a difficult question, but to handle in a very delicate way and try to explain to the audience what is and what should be done. But again, when I conclude this discussion, this podcast, I just want to highlight one thing. Why I always say that in second phase, the CPEC second phase, the civilian institution should also play a prominent role. Because in special economic zones and other parts, you have to deal with the civilians. And our armed forces are not trained to deal with the civilians. They have their different mandate, they have their different SOPs, as you are explaining. But the civilian institutions like police and other, they are trained to deal with the civilians. And they have very close understanding, very deep understanding of the society where they are working. That's why maybe we also have to increase the role of civilian institution. But in close collaboration and the guidance of definitely of our armed forces, we have to work closely. Thank you so much, Dr. Nasser Saab. And our viewers, we will see you in the next program with different topic. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you.